Hi, I'm David Gant, your Buncombe County Commission Chair. The first part of March, I went to the National Convention. It was a legislative conference in Washington, D.C. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about what we did there and what I got out of it. I always try to go to seminars and conventions and talks that might help Buncombe County. The ones I went to at this convention were foreclosure support, because we all know we've got a lot of problems in foreclosures. And I wanted to see what other places in the country are doing to help people keep their homes, and what they do. Some communities actually buy the homes and use them as affordable housing. So I looked at and I learned a lot about different strategies for the foreclosure. I also went to the Economic Development Administration seminar. This was a seminar where the government officials who dole out federal money were talking about the programs that were available in different communities. And we also heard from communities about how they use the money. I know a lot of people think the government's broke and there's no money, but I, as a representative and the chairman of Buncombe County Commission, I'm going to see what Buncombe County can get. And we had some ideas. We've given them to staff, and we're going to be applying for some economic development grants that we didn't know about. And it's obscure agencies that and obscure programs that are out there, and you just got to know where they are. So I thought that was worthwhile. I went to the Renewable Energy Seminar. The conference was about siting windmills and wind power facilities. That's a big issue in Buncombe County because we have beautiful mountains here, and we've got to balance the need for alternative energy, which is essential, with our natural beauty. And this was mainly centered out west, the western U.S. But it was interesting to hear how they dealt with the siting issues. And we got some maps about where the places are. Interestingly, the coast of North Carolina, about 2 miles off the coast, is one of the most fertile places in the United States for wind energy. Because you think about it, the state dips out, the Outer Banks, they stick way out into the Gulf Stream. And there's also a long shelf. And so we learned that that may be one of the best places in the country for wind energy. That's not going to affect us, but again, I looked at the siting. I wanted to learn more about wind energy because that's an issue that we're going to have to face, and we're going to have to talk about putting windmills and wind facilities on the mountains. And what do we feel about that? I want to get ahead of that, not behind that. And so I learned a lot from that. I also went to a media relations course. And this was about basically how do you get the message out. Buncombe County does a wonderful job getting information out. But as chairman, I have to also give the message and tell people what we're doing, why we're doing it. Sometimes I have to use my position in a persuading mode to help people, to push people toward a certain conclusion that we would like them to reach. So it was interesting to hear the techniques from people that are in the industry in public relations. Probably the highlight of what I did in Washington in March of this year was met with all the congressional and Senate leaders in Washington. We had a breakfast, and every one of them came. It was great to see Congressman Schuler and to talk with all the different ones and hear the way they felt the country was going and how it might affect the counties. I heard speeches from the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Mike Mueller, the Attorney General Eric Holder, Morning Joe Scarborough, former congressman and media personality, and then we heard from Congressman John Micah, who's a transportation chairman, and Congressman Doc Hastry, who's the natural resource chairman. The national politics affects local politics. Maybe not directly, but part of our leadership is to understand what's coming down. And I think common sense tells us when there are budget cuts, they're going to push them down. The federal's going to push it to the state, and the state's going to push it locally. So I'm trying to get ahead of that. I want to learn as much as I can about what's going on so I can represent you better and make better decisions when things are put on. I thought this convention was very good, and I appreciate the opportunity to go. I also want to be accountable to you, and I intend to talk to you about each seminar I go to, because it's your money. You paid for me to go, and I owe it to you to tell you what I got out of it, and you can judge whether it was worthwhile. I think it was. I was pleased to go. I learned a lot, and I'm going to do the best I can for you as your chairman. Thanks for this chance to talk to you, and please call me if you have any questions or any comments about this convention I went to or any other action that the Buncombe County Commission's taking. I enjoy being your chairman, and thank you for listening.